Right, everybody, part 2. Are we mic'd up? Sorry. Yes, we can hear my voice. Just checking you can hear my voice. You join us 2 hours later. For you, it might be 2 days. Part 2. We have spent a lot of time cleaning everything up. So, Nick, if you bring it over here, rocker cover's been cleaned, crankshaft pulley has been cleaned and painted, and all these bits have been cleaned of all sorts of rubbish. Yeah, and obviously down here, as you can see, it's all nice and clean down there, and this is all clean on this crankshaft spline. Well, it's not spline, but it's the extension. It's all clean inside here, and that's exactly what you want with this job. Now I'm just going to pop the new water pump on. This is a Quinton Hazel water pump. Don't buy Gates because I don't rate them. Quinton Hazel is a good manufacturer, and it comes with a paper gasket, and it just goes over these two dowels here. Okay, and that's it really, and then we'll put a couple of bolts in. Please just make sure that this is nice and clean on this ridge down here. Okay, good, nice, pretty as dry as possible, and we are just going to put it in dry. Please do not put silicone. If any of you have watched the original videos that I have done, you will know how much I hate silicone. You should not put anything on here. Maybe Hylamar, but I'm not really as interested in that stuff, so I'm just going to get this lined in on the dowels. There we go, that's gone in nicely. Good. And just wind it in. God, that looks 10 times better, doesn't it, buddy?
Indeed.
Oh, so get a couple of these bolts in.
Nicely painted, that.
Yeah, it's very, it was very good paintwork.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know, tell me about it. And, do you know, I ended up just swapping, you know, the impeller for a metal one. I mean, like, the genius of me, you know, I almost surprised myself with my genius. Not sounding like Jeremy Clarkson. Just all in. Now, the torque setting for these are very, very small, about 7 Newton meters, and I call that just nipped up. If I had to reword the Haynes Book of Lies, it would be just nipped up. That's what my 7 Newton meters doesn't mean anything apart from just hand tight. So go around, try and get all the bolts and just nip them up. Okay, not too much. We don't want to snap anything. Just nice and tight. Keep going round, and that's the aim of the game. And that water pump is in and nice and tight. Right, I think we can go to the next job now, which will be adjusting the cam sprockets. Right, next job. Obviously, to do this job, we've got to make sure that the pin is in the bottom, so the crank is still, water pumps back in, but we need to adjust the cams so this bar fits. So remember, the old timing belt was a little off, and this bar did not fit when the engine was at top dead center. Well, at least the pin was in the crank, but the cams didn't line up. That shouldn't be the case. They might always be a little bit off. So what you do is we have to loosen these sprockets. Again, these sprockets are keyless. There's no keyway on them. They are merely torqued up to 60 Newton meters. They are 13. So what you do is you get your 21mm spanner, and you've got a hex. So we need to hold this camshaft where it is and go. God, that's tight. That is really tight. There we go. You might have to kneel down a little bit, but we've got that cam. See that? Lovely. Now we take this bolt out. That is now freewheeling, and it's not actually turning the cam at all. See? And then this one as well, just do the same. You might need a bit of force, but you can do it. They are tight. They always,
as you expect.
They always are. There we go.
Trusty breaker bar.
No, had to, as I say, just get a breaker bar on there, and there we go. It's a good sign. They've never been loosened before. I'll tell you, the last place who did that, they didn't do that whatsoever. So these are now loose, and what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take these off. Ooh la la. you're not going to lose your timing because these cams are roughly in the right position. Now these can go on any camshaft, they're not specific, these sprockets. Now they say to reuse, basically get new bolts, but I never do. I've never known a problem with these bolts unless you've rounded them. And we can visibly see the cam seals, which are absolutely fine on this engine. What you do when you do a rocker cover gasket is you put a blob of silicone just in the corners here, okay, because then it will stop it sort of leaking out. But that's rather good. I'm really impressed by that. Now we've got complete control of the cams, and what we do is we use that 21mm spanner and we try and line up at the back here. So I'm just going to use the spanner and line that in. So if it just fits, might need a bit of a knock. It does take time just to get them in. That it's still not quite lined in properly. This is where patience. There we go. Did you see that there? It's just slipped in. There we are. And I'll just adjust this so it just goes in. Hey, there we go, mate. Your cam bar goes in. Oh, it's come out again. No, it's not good. It will. There we go. Right, now we're in. Our cam bar is in. Those cams are now set. Lovely. Now, the job now is put your sprockets on, but don't do it tight. Don't tighten them up at this stage. All you do is you refit them. Now this one, I believe this one goes at the front. It doesn't really matter. They can go on any camshaft. It is a slightly different procedure if you've got an ST170 because you've got the variable camshaft operating on your inlet valves. There we go. Now you see this. If I tighten this enough, I can get a bit of movement out of the cam. Basically, this sprocket only moves the cam because of the torque, the force of this bolt on the camshaft. Exactly the same for the crankshaft. Basically, if I just demonstrate, this pulley will force itself into this sprocket, and the force of that turns both. That's why the stretch bolt has to be done up really, really tightly. Otherwise, the timing belt will slip and you could have valves clashing with pistons. So anyway, just refit this. Remember, you fit that on the back side. So this cup sits in here. Right, so next job, obviously with these still loose, we have not tightened these sprockets up, okay? So the cams are set. We haven't taut these up because this will allow us to it just makes it easier to get the belt on. Now I'm old school. I prefer this belt with the writing facing me, so this way. It doesn't matter, it really doesn't. But we've cleaned this sprocket, okay? Clean the back side of it and the front side. Now clearly, this is the side that wasn't touching the face of the crankshaft. This is, okay? So just pop that on and it will just spline on quite nicely. There we go. See, and it just spins, okay? It's just a free floating pulley. That's great. You want it nice and free, okay? Which is why we've done all the cleaning. Now, what we're going to do is, before we pop this belt on, we're going to put the tension in place. And the tensioner is already got, I've got the pin in, okay? It's all ready to go, but we just need to line this up. Again, we've got, if Nick, you could show, yeah, so we've got one bolt here, one bolt here. It just sits in this recess down here, and it's very easy just to get it in place. So there you go. So this pointer is sitting right beside the water pump. I do hope you can see this. As I say, we're fighting against light here today in the opposite way. It's not too dark, it's too light. So just wind these two 13mm bolts up and just tighten them for now, and we'll torque them up in a bit. Okay, so now we have the torque wrench set to 20 Newton meters. I'm just going to go over both bolts, try not to get in the way of the pin, and just tighten it down. There we go, that's one. And the other one, which is right here, just move that out the way a little bit. Just 20 Newton meters. There we go. I'll just double check the other one. Yeah, and back to the other one. Lovely. Okay, so those two bolts on this side are completely torqued up. And we leave the pin in for a second. I've just rotated the tensioner. That feels really nice. Now we can whip the belt into place. So this side, this way. Just whip this way. Usually, with most engines, you're fighting with the water pump. Now you're fighting with the tensioner. But you've got to have the tensioner far off. Now, these belts will want to spin. But what we want is we just want it, the longest length, we want it really, really straight here. And then we can kind of just plumb it round there and try and squeeze this on. Can be a bit of a faff. There we go. Right, it's literally just flung over the back one. As I say, we try and go the longest length possible. Sorry, that bolt has come loose and so is that. But yep, we're all kind of get it situated on the belt and along the tensioner. Just make sure that it's sitting nicely, just a little bit of a gap towards the edge, but not clashing with anything like the pointer. Again, this belt, I've seen some belts where they creep along towards the edge here. And here, but just try and get it as straight as possible, and it is around that pulley nicely. Good, just double check and that's absolutely fine. Okay, great. Okay, so we've got all this moving and the free floating pulley is nice and free. Just recheck it. It's not going to move anything because that sprocket won't move the crankshaft without the pulley against it. So you're just checking for free play. That's really good. I like that. Right, now we can now pull this pin. There you go. Tension's on. Tension's on. Whoa, that's tight now. That's now gone from floppy. The old rule of thumb is just turn the belt. Can you turn the belt more than 90 degrees? No, I can't. That means it's a good belt. It's a good way of testing an old timing belt, but that's nice and taut now. Good. Right, I'll keep that pin just for the second. It's always handy to keep those pins. I ended up losing one today. Now we need to tighten these sprockets up. Now we can do this with the bar in place. You're not going to snap your cams because you're holding it. You are in control here. You're not using the cam bar. You're not doing this. You're coming with your torque wrench, 60 Newton meters, and just torque the cam and use that as a locking bar. No. You do this. You do it one at a time. So sock it in. Okay, and we torque it down. There we go, that's gone. And this one. There we go, done. And that is how easy it is. Your sprockets are now done. Now we've sorted that and this will all move. Now I've got to tap that back out in a second because I'm going to do something else, but I've got to put the lower cover on, which is here. Yes, just put the lower cover with the 3 bolts just to cover up the sprocket. Right, okay, so just pop this over the top and just get it lined onto the dowels. There's a dowel on this one. There we are on this one, and it will just line up really nice and just line these in. God, these are thumb bolts, these go everywhere. There we go, nice and nipped, lovely. Right, next one. Right, now we need to knock this bar out. It will be, there we go. It'll be a bit reluctant. And we're gonna need that in a second. I'm just gonna pop that there. Now, crankshaft pulley bolts and pulley. Here we go, Nick. Here we go. Now, we have got the pin engaged, but I'm just going to offer it up. Lovely. Lovely job, Lee. Nice and painted. And all I'm going to do now is whack the...
Painted, it's new.
Yeah, exactly. It'll do for the next 6 years, maybe. Maybe, we'll see. Right, lovely. And that's hand tight now. Now, that is still free floating. It's not tight enough to move the crank. But now, what I'm going to do is just nip it up by hand. Right, I'm just going to use my 18 and I'm just going to hand tighten it. There we go. Right. Okay, that's nice and tight. I'd say that bar's can straight out, and I'd say it's really nice and tight there. Now, this, it's hit the pin. Now, if I take the pin out, we will be able to turn this engine around. So I've just removed that pin, okay. Now what we're going to do is just by hand, we're going to turn this engine over before I even tighten up the crank bolt. So literally 2 turns. So you're going to feel the compression here. Hear that? Good. There should be no clashing. It should just fight with you, because the spark... I do take a top tip. Take your spark plugs out, because it might be a bit easier to turn it. I did forget to mention that in this episode. Now what I've done is I've turned that engine around about 1.5 turns. You just turn it so far, and then you put the pin back in. So I'm just going to put this pin back in now, and what will happen is the crankshaft should butt against that pin. So I'm going to turn it again. There's no clashing. There we go. There's the pin. Right. Then what we do is we get the bar, and the bar is not quite in. Okay. It's gone off a fraction. Okay. Now this is where we need to readjust. Now it looks like it's ready to go into this one, but for some reason this one has moved a fraction. Right, so you saw there the cam bar did not fit in. Easy enough to settle, you don't have to do too much. All you have to do is slacken this bolt off again. Okay, just hold that, slacken it off as we've done before, and then we can turn this camshaft independently, so the timing belt's not moving, nothing else is moving but the cam. Okay, so now we can get the bar back in now, because as I say, the crankshaft is in the right position because it's locked onto the pin. There we go. Now that cam, that's still a little bit out. Okay, I might have to slacken that off as well. Just needs a little bit of slackening off. Luckily, it's easy to actually undo this again. I know what people are going to say about this. Are you using a torque wrench to undo a fastener?
Yes, we are.
That's the answer. I don't care. It's a blooming old one as well. So now, if I can just... There we go. That's in. Lovely. Right, we're in again. Now we readjust it up again. Okay? And torque it up. Honestly. There we go, done. As easy as you like. Now that bar fits, lovely. So we're on the pin, we're on the cam bar, we're all up. I've just got to, I don't know why I've ended up doing that. That was just me, just rechecking the setting, and we're nice and tight. We're still on. We've wound it down a few times. There's no clashing, there's no hitting. If you are turning the engine over during this phase and you're getting hitting, you've done something wrong. There's a timing issue going out here. As long as the crankshaft is butted up against that pin, and that cam bar fits the cams, everything is perfect. That's perfect now. Now, we just need to bolt it in. That's how easy it is. That's why you need the pins and you need the bar. End of. It's so easy. So, Nick, can you do the honours?
Yep.
Crankshaft pulley bolt, winding up time. So by the book, it's 40 Newton meters and 90 degrees, which is a right angle. We don't do that because we don't do torque settings, and neither do garages. Most garages would just get one of them guns and it will never come off, ever. That's the way that garage have probably done it, and every other garage, because no garage is going to want to take the proper procedure. By the way, is a special Ford holding tool. Nobody has them. So every garage would have to take the starter motor out for a flywheel locking tool. A lot of garages can't be bothered. I need to do it because I've got an automatic, but being a manual, you just put it in reverse, foot on the brake, get an assistant, foot on the brake, really hard, and I'm just going to whack it up nice and true with a little tip for those people who are using impact guns. And I really do state this. It's a no-brainer. But first, we do need to remove, where's my hammer gone? The cam bar again. And we will need to remove the pin because we do not use them as locking tools. Right, here we go. Squeaky bum time. Now I've made a little mark that I can notice on this impact socket. You won't be able to see it, but I can immediately see if that mark starts slowing down. When it starts slowing down, it means that the bolt is yielding and you stop, basically, when it's a dead stop. I might have to buzz it a few times, but that is literally it. Okay, mate, reverse, foot on the brake.
Foot on brake.
Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, that is good enough. I've buzzed it up enough. That's good. I've gone and made a blooming circle inside the nut, but that is good. It will have moved the engine just a little bit, but it would have moved together. That's the point in all this. And I'm just going to give it one last little bit of a burst. Foot on the brake, mate.
Yep.
Lovely. Done. Done and dusted. Right, that's lovely. So now that's whacked up and the line virtually stopped. So you can kind of roughly work it out because 40 Newton meters in my head isn't much. It really isn't much. It's a microscopic tightening movement. So it should have been pretty tight the moment I sort of hit that trigger. And then I kind of saw the white mark move mostly 90 degrees and it virtually stopped. I actually had to take it off the maximum setting because I was a bit worried. 2,000 Newton meters this thing packs out. I've heard of stories of people gunning it so much the head comes off the bolt and you are in so much trouble. And that's not a thermostat job, is it?
No.
That's going to be a huge bolt. I think you need a new engine. But anyway, now we need to establish where we are. Now the engine would have spanned a fraction even with an impact gun. So we're just going to establish that it all lines up and that we could get the pin in and the cam bar fits and there's no clashing. So off we go again with the spark plugs bloody in. I'm going to turn this engine about one turn so I can feel the compression stroke. Hear that? Yeah. Yeah. I can feel that. We're on the exhaust stroke. Yeah, and then it's gone loose again. Right, now that's when you put your timing pin back in, if I can remember where I put it now. There we go. So I'm just going to slot this back in down here. Okay. And then once it's nice and flush. Oh, it definitely is not flush. Hold on. I think I've gone a bit too far. That can happen sometimes. So keep going. If the timing pin doesn't go in, just keep turning it a little bit more. I might have gone a bit too much there.
Moment of truth.
the moment of truth. I've got a feeling oh, it's fractions. It's fractions. In fact, hold on. That is absolute fractions. In fact, I could probably knock that in with a hammer. Oh, that's gone in, but it hasn't quite gone in that one. It's just fractions. In fact, I'm looking at it now. Oh, yeah. I tell you what, if I got a hammer to that, that would go in. That is literally microscopic hairs. That's good enough for me. That is good enough, guys. Now, I thought I would do this just to demonstrate. Spark plug out, big screwdriver in, and we are coming back up. So when we're coming back up, this is just as good an indicator. You put the pin back in before it gets to the top. There's a variety of ways you can do this, whatever way is done best, but as I say, it's best to be safe in these circumstances. So here you go. Lovely. Okay, that pin is in, and we just want to get that screwdriver all the way to the top. There we go, done. And that screwdriver is quite high, and oh, it's fractions. Do you know something, mate? I think I'm gonna just creep that in a little bit. So I'm going to get guys, I'm just going to get my torque wrench, slacken that bolt off again, adjust it up so that bar just goes in. Just something in the back of my head there, just make sure it's good. But we have confirmed by the screwdriver that we are on the right compression stroke. By the way, these cams, the slot in the cams are offset, so you won't get them in unless it's the right revolutions too, obviously. So you won't get it in the next time round, just saying. So anyway, I'm going to do that, adjust it, and then we're good, Nick, and we just start putting things back on. That is how to do a timing belt change, but as I say, getting everything back on is another thing, because it can be a bit of a faff. Right, we're in, done. Happy now, Nick?
Absolutely.
Turned it twice, and the bar fitted in precisely. And that is what you want. No clashing, no nothing. It is ready to go back together. And we know the state of the engine now by looking at various different parts of it. And now you've got something to go on by. And that Gates timing belt will last you 8 years, basically. Rocker cover, we cleaned it up. We had to get a lot of mess out of here, but we'll cut back when I've put this on. The tip is, there is no tip. Just try and get all this out the way and then slot it back on. It's so much easier without all this on. Right, rocker cover is back on, screwed down and all connected back up. Don't forget to fit the bolt that goes where the pin should go. Otherwise, you're going to have serious oil leaks. So just screw it back in, and I'll just nip that up with a 10mm in a second. And then we're going to get the lower down cover back on. Oh, this will be fun. Nice and clean, this. And just lower it in and bolt it straight back into place. Right, timing cover. Now, this is the best way of explaining how to put this back in the car. It's a faff. You cannot just simply put this metal piece back on its own, because to get this to go all the way around it, you're going to have to insert it like a jigsaw, and then basically this bolt screws in. In fact, if I get one of those bolts from over here, I can actually screw that straight in. In fact, that's the long one. We don't need that. Oh dear, I'll find out where I've lost that one. But just screw this straight in and put this straight in as well. Okay, just nip that up together. Okay. Right, Nick, say goodbye to your timing belt. You're not going to see that again for another 8 years. Just make sure that's all tensioned, it's all good. Tension's on, that feels good, that feels good. It all looks fantastic. Just give it one final inspection and you're good. Look at this, Nick. evidence. They've used paint marks. I thought they had. They've done paint marks. So they couldn't even be... That's why they haven't damaged the camshafts. Because they haven't bothered to use the timing toolkit. They've literally done it by the rule of thumb. That's why the timing was out. I think we've explained the question. It wasn't necessarily the belt. It was the fact that they didn't time it up correctly. Because they didn't use the bar kit. You will feel some difference today. Who'd have thought that from a timing belt change? But anyway, this is now ready to go on. Now I will point this out here. 1, 2, 3 are these standard mounting bolts. Okay, 1, 2, not these two. That's for the alternator. These two, that one, and that one. This one uses a shorter bolt, just a shorter one. Okay, so short, long, long, long. Okay, there's 4 of them. We just get it whacked up and nicely into position. Oh, how easy was that? And we could get the top one lined in. Screw it by hand. Okay, we have the short bolt. Sorry, mate. The short bolt goes in there. Just do it all by hand, please. No machines, no impact guns, because you don't know whether it's cross-threading, and you don't want to cross-thread this piece. As I say, if you've got a stretch belt and you're doing the technique of getting the alternator off, and the 2 long bolts feel as if they're cross-threading into here, bit of lubrication fluid. If you do ruin the threads, it's not too... You can replace this whole mounting bracket separately and get a second-hand one if you know, worst case scenario. But I'll just put that one in there and that one in there. Lovely.
Andrew,
yeah.
You said we don't do top ends on this.
Yeah, we do for a few bits. I'll just sort of make my own rules up as I go along. Do you know what? Honestly, though, it's no joke. You don't need to torque things up that don't need torquing up, just like little small fasteners. But engine mountings, yes, we need to torque those 4 bolts up. And I'm just having a look at all the mountings. And I believe right hand upper section 80. Oh, it says 80 here. Yeah, that's no problem. Not a problem. I'll torque them up pretty well. To be honest, I would say at least 60 to 80 Newton meters for these, because that's where your engine crane would go. It has to be a strong structural piece of the engine. And I'll just wind this in a little bit more. Whoops a daisy.
Is that when you the twist the fin here for the engine crane?
Yes.
Get the engine out.
Yeah, because that's one hook and that's your other hook. There we go. Thanks, mate. There we go. Lovely. Yeah.
That don't click.
It's all right. Lovely. Now, all you need to do is put all the little bolts back in for the timing belt cover, which is all these buggers. 1, 2, 3. We've got 4 more. I think there was another one that we've got that's gone somewhere. But literally, put all the other bolts back in. The long one, put that back in first. Just put it back in there. That's the long one that goes into the rocker cover. You need to take that if you're changing your rocker cover gasket only. Most gauges will insist that you change your rocker cover as part of this job. However, I think the theory behind this car, Nick, is that whoever took it in for that first timing belt change, probably about 10 years ago, looking at the belt, they asked for it to be done as part of a servicing. The garage told them that they'd changed everything required and that the water pump would need to be changed. And what they did is they didn't. They changed the belt, which they did with Tipex, and they got the timing wrong. So this engine will be more powerful, I can guarantee. Secondly, they didn't change the water pump, they skimped, but they probably told the customer and charged the customer for the water pump. This is why, top tip, don't go to mechanics unless you really trust them. And even ones that you trust, I don't trust. This way, you're doing the job yourself and you know it's been done well and how it's been done and what parts are being used, unless you buy your own parts. And then again, a lot of garages just moan about that. This is one of them jobs. I mean, this is typically a £350 job near me. Some places it's 300, but I'd say more 350 these days with the cost of everything going up. So yes, it's well worthwhile just to keep on track of these things. So my £350 will be due because that's the Brummie race, 350, yeah.
In cookies?
No, 350.
Are we cutting?
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's nice, that new...
Bit of fresh paint on the pump because it was looking a bit shy for itself, and now it looks much better now.
Yeah,
good.
Because it's a new pump.
Yes, exactly. Yes, it's a brand new pump, isn't it? Yes, you bought paid a lot of money for that.
Yeah, we did.
Amount of power steering fluid you've had to put into the thing, I'm not surprised. Right, lovely. So that's all on now. Now, really, we've just got to put all the bits back on, but I thought I would show you this before we put all the gubbings back on. But basically, look at that. So we've got a number up here, got another number up there, but Ford Motor Company there, straight at the top. And do you know what? I don't think this deserves to be scored and ruined. I think it should be kept as it is. No, we'll put it on. Yes, absolutely. Now, the idea is, I'll just come over here. No, it's all right. What I'll do is I'll jack the engine up a little bit just so that you can see. Just higher it up a little bit, guys. I only did that just to see what I could do. There we go. Don't do it too much, just jack it up a little bit. And you can kind of see, just try and line some of the bolts in. This is the funny thing, trying to get the first one lined in. I think there is a little bit of a nose to this, so you can pop it on the nose. Whoops-a-daisy. There we go. Now, all it is, just spin it. It's just popped on the end of the nose. And then you could just try and find... Oh, yeah, it's gone in. Once you've got that first bolt wound in. These are lovely bolts. I think I should just have given you the old ones and put these on mine. Ooh.
Not the first thing you put on yours.
Absolutely. You give me a lot of things, my friend. And, well, that throttle position sensor made a lot of difference. A lot of difference. Now, how do you tighten all these bolts up? Well, you do exactly the same method as before, my friend. And it is simply getting two spanners against each other. So, once again, 10. Make sure it's in the tightening phase. Oh dear, it spins. Well, you can hold it. You can do that, but what you've got to do is hold it against each other. So you've got to hold, and you basically you're turning this way. You're turning the pulley this way to tighten that fixing. So you're pulling that way, but this hand has got to force the pulley the opposite way. So you force it against the nuts. There we go, until the engine starts turning over itself. And then we go again to the next one. Yeah, okay, lovely. It won't come off, trust me, I've done this technique a few times. You might get a few scratches on your arms though, I do warn you. Okay. There we go, lovely. And the final one. Okay, that was quite loose. And then when it tensions, done. That's it, mate. We're all done. We're all on. And that is looking really sharp. God, that is looking really good. That is looking really good. So really, honestly, guys, the only thing you've got to do is to put that sodding alternator on for the millionth time that we've done this. I think we've done that more times. I've lost count. I've seriously lost count how many times we've done that. But you just have to adjust. Obviously the engine is quite high, bear that in mind. But all you'd have to do, you slip that on, line the bolts in like we did in the last episode, and bolt it in, and then squeaky bum time for that start. If you're scared, you could just turn the engine over by hand. Get your 18mm socket or spanner, because there's less space now, on that crankshaft pulley, and spin the engine over a couple of times and make sure that there's nothing clashing. There shouldn't be anything clashing. So do that before you start up the car, and then we go to the next bit. Fun times. Well, we had a bit of a problem with George. Yeah, a massive problem. So we had to get a few new bits, didn't we?
Just a bit.
Yeah, it was very expensive, right at the last second. Once again, we had a blown alternator. I mean, look at this. I mean, this is a brand new one. Fantastic. I mean, we paid a lot of money for that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's not
half of my wage.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it. Duh, no, fooled you. No, we've just painted it. It was the quickest paint job I've ever done, honestly. Got a new water pump pulley in there, and we've painted up the pump, and it's all good, and we've just got to wait for the level to settle, and it's got to work its way through the system. Fooled you there, guys, but we thought we'd paint it up. And the next job on this car imminently is going to be very obvious, because we'd be lying if we said we haven't started it. Well, we've just done that in front of camera. Now we've had to repeat ourselves. So would you like to start the engine up and let people hear what's going on? Oh dear.
What's that noise?
Yeah,
I wonder.
Yeah, it's settled down now. It was
still making that noise.
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, basically, it's nothing to do with what I've done, by the way. It's absolutely not. Yeah, it's absolutely nothing. What it is, the bushing has completely gone. I mean, I can just move the gearbox and engine. I can just rock it backwards and forwards. Honestly, I knew I'd done a little bit more damage to the bush than I thought on the last time, but that's the next job for this car.
Might be sooner.
Yes, I know. But the main thing is, it's running, it's perfectly fine. New water pump, good circulation now. We know that we're going to have no airlocks in the system as well. Especially that plastic one. It's done 22 years of service. That's enough.
I can't believe that.
Yeah, I can't believe that. Timing belt, tensioner, it's all good. It's not going to run away or fall off, and it's all going to be good. It's just about settled, hasn't it? But it is that, you could see it.
More noticeable on hold.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought it was the cams. I'm thinking, oh no.
No. The sound reverberated through the entire engine, and I thought, hold on, it's the engine mount. It's completely gone. So you were driving down from the classic motor, but there was a big bang.
Yep. That's when it went.
That was when it went. You knew it because I was overtaking you. You said there's been a bang. I thought, oh no. Right, guys, I'm going to leave this here with the knocking mount. Oh, there, it's settled down.
Just when it's cold.
With that, because it's gonna shake a bit more because it's a cold engine. It is gonna shake a bit more. But we're gonna let the car recalibrate a little bit because we've got a new temperature sensor that the ECU has to calibrate with. And that's it.
So would it rock more when I go home?
Keep it smooth. If you are aggressive, the whole thing is just gonna jump. It's just gonna twist. It's a twist mount more than anything. So that's the next job. The other job, which will be something quite small and interesting,
yes,
and to save a bit of money as well, just like the alternator actually. I mean, this alternator looks perfectly fine. I just took the backing plate and the brushes look good. The next one is the starter motor. Rebuilding the starter motor from scratch with some new brushes that you bought. So anyway, guys, I'm going to leave this here. Go on.
When this goes out,
yeah,
I mean the rocking.
Oh yeah, the rocking. Yeah, I don't know. It could be done. Well, we'll feedback.
Yeah.
Maybe Okay, if you can get some pictures, but the guys probably won't, it doesn't matter. And we'll go from there. Right, take care guys, I will see you very soon. Yes, I know. And for a demonstration on what it actually looks like, go for it, buddy. Yeah, that's severe rocking, that is. Yeah. Right, my friend.
Hello.
Hello. What was the test drive like round the block? Please let me know.
Test drive?
Yeah.
Misfired.
Yes, it did misfire, didn't it? Yes, but which was... Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, me not putting a spark plug in properly, which might explain why it wasn't as smooth as possible. But the engine mount is absolutely shot, isn't it? That rear one.
Oh, yeah, definite.
Next job. But anyway, after I managed to tighten the plug...
Yep.
What results can you say from the timing belt change and having it adjusted properly?
I can feel noticeably difference. More power.
That's ridiculous. Yeah, go on.
Idle, smooth. Even coming slowing down.
Yeah, the problem we
smooth.
had before.
Yeah, when it was.
So when the RPMs used to go up every time you stopped.
When I was slowing down, braking, then clutching.
We thought it was the clutch.
Yeah, that's going to get changed anyway.
It's not the clutch, but it's going to
get changed anyway.
I can hear how smooth that is.
The whining's still there, so we know we know the box.
I really wish that a timing belt change could transform a very bad gearbox, but it can't.
No.
But it has transformed the engine.
Yes.
And by doing the job wrong, see, people who own this car would just say it's a raggedy old car with a terrible old engine, when actually, in this case, it's poor maintenance. And in this case, when the maintenance has been done, it's not been done well. The garage got that timing belt completely wrong, absolutely. The way they fitted that, the cams, especially the inlet, was so far out that the air-fuel mixture can't mix properly, and therefore you're getting more power. I did say you get more power, but yeah. I just wanted to see the results and hear from your own lips. So as you're telling the audience, it's just fractionally better than what was before.
Do you want to join in?
Absolutely.
You want to come in and experience?
Absolutely. So, I think you will. If you're getting more power, that's burning correctly.
Beautiful.
I can feel how smooth that is.
Nothing. 1,000, that's it.
Wow. That's ridiculous. That is smooth. It's not juddering, it's the RPMs are steady, even more steady after the inlet manifold job. Effectively. But now everything is absolutely pinned. How many times did I have to actually take the cams off to adjust them to get the bar in?
I'd say I
think it was more than 4 actually.
About 5 or 6.
Yeah, we had to turn it around a few times just to get it absolutely slap bang on. Nick is grinning from ear to ear, and that is what Mark 1 ownership should be like in a 1.4, which feels punchy.
Feels like a 1.6.
Great.
To be honest.